Hey Vibers, it's your boy Kai, and welcome to Kai Watches Gilmore Girls, where I'm documenting my first watch of the TV show Gilmore Girls. It's time for us to review Season 5, Episode 17 of the show, which is entitled Pulp Friction, which originally aired on March 8th, 2005. Now, that week, March 8th, 2005, that week that this episode aired, all of us were singing Candy Shop by 50 Cent on the radio. Admittedly, I was singing that song at the top of my lungs, not fully understanding how dirty it was. Mom, I am so sorry. In this episode, Rory regrets her agreement with Logan that they can date other people after she sees him out on the town with another girl. Later, at a party where everyone dresses as a character from a Quentin Tarantino film, Rory shows up with Logan's friend Robert, forcing Logan to admit his jealousy. Meanwhile, now that Lorelai and Luke are happily reunited, Emily can't understand why Lorelai still refuses to show up to Friday night dinner. Emily's second visit to the diner to speak to Luke leads to a bitter mother-daughter confrontation. Finally, Michelle appears on The Price is Right and wins a motorhome. Calamity ensues. It's one thing to get angry Michelle in one episode and then angry Emily in another episode, but both of them angry at the same time in the same episode, that was a lot for my little introverted heart to take. So where does this episode rank within Season 5? Well, let's find out as I recap this episode for my favorite moments, my least favorite moments, fun episode facts, and of course, my episode vibe score. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for weekly videos that are aimed to make your day just a little bit better. And follow me on your favorite social media channels where I'm always posting things that'll help you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes. Let's take a look at Season 5, Episode 17 of Gilmore Girls. Let's start off with my favorite moments. Number 1. Kirk standing up to Mom. Since Kirk has been a character on the show, we've all heard about him and his mom. He just talks nonstop about her. After a pep talk from Luke at the diner, Kirk stands up to his mom and moves out. The downside is that he didn't really think it through and he has no place to live. As a result, Kirk has another funny standout episode where he gets the funniest, most memorable moments from the entire episode. I always truly believed that Kirk works best when he's given to us in small doses. And once again, he saved this episode from just being a so-so episode. Number 2, Lorelai standing up to Mom. Emily was being Emily again, and Lorelai ended up saying to Emily what I've been thinking ever since Emily broke up Luke and Lorelai. We'll get more into Emily's side of things a little bit later, but she once again crossed the line, and I'm glad that Lorelai didn't just sit back and take it. So thank God for speed dial. Number 3, Tarantino party. I am a huge Tarantino fan, so the idea of a Tarantino-themed party warms my heart. Though I did rewatch all of the Tarantino party scenes in this episode, and I realized something. There was no people of color there, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Okay, those were my favorite moments. What about my least favorite moments from the episode? We'll start off with number 1, Logan's jealousy and manipulation. Every time I think Logan might be an okay, cool rebel of a guy, he goes off and pulls stuff like this. I think some people may view his jealousy as romantic, but it seemed a little manipulative to me. I don't know many lasting relationships in which these actions could be considered healthy, no matter what age they are. In other words, no, I am not on the Team Logan train just yet, but we'll see. He can redeem himself. The door is still open. Number 2, Michelle and The Price is Right. Michelle was in peak Michelle mode in this episode. I thought that since he took a little vacation, he'd come back a little more subdued and a little less angry. But alas, he came back more angry. So much so that Lorelai yelled at him, saying things that were all pretty much true, even though she walked it back about 10 minutes later in the episode. So for Michelle, is this his character now? I just feel like he wasn't always like this. Number 3, Emily just doesn't get it. Oh, Emily, you just don't understand. I know you want Lorelai to return to having dinner with you, which is really, really nice, but it seems as though you're completely blind as to why Lorelai is truly upset with you in the first place. In the previous episode recap, I stated that I'm not giving Emily any credit for getting Luke and Lorelai back together, because that would be like somebody purposely setting your house on fire, then putting out the fire, then wanting credit for putting out the fire that you purposely started, and then wondering why nobody wants to come hang out at your house anymore. Probably because you started the fire. This episode cements everything that I say about Emily. I want to like that character so much, but she usually just gives me more reasons to not like her than to like her. Those are my favorite and least favorite moments in this episode. Let's talk about some facts about the episode. Today I want to talk specifically about the demographics at Yale. I know a lot of people don't like when I talk about race when recapping the show, so if you don't want to talk about it or you don't want to listen to it, that's okay. You can skip over it. Everyone else, let's talk about people of color at Yale. So while watching this episode and many previous episodes, I realized that we rarely see people of color at Yale depicted in this show. So I got a little curious. Who attends Yale? Let's take a look. Every stat that I'm about to state can be found on Data USA's website, linked in the description. According to Data USA, in 2019, 5,084 degrees were awarded across all undergraduate and graduate programs at Yale University. 50.3% of those degrees were awarded to women, and 49.7% of those were awarded to men. The most common ethnicity group of degree recipients was white, with 2,209 degrees. That was 3.24 times more than the next closest race or ethnicity group, which was Asian, with 681 degrees. The enrolled student population at Yale University is 41.2% white, 15.1% Asian, 10.4% Hispanic or Latino, 6.01% Black or African American, 5.11% two or more races, 0.309% American Indian or Alaska Native, and 0.0955% Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islanders. This includes both full-time and part-time students, as well as graduate and undergraduates. By comparison, enrollment for all doctoral universities was 50.3% whites, 14.3% Hispanic Latino, and 9.48% Black or African American. In 2019, 34 more women than men received degrees from Yale University. I don't know. I just found all of that really interesting because I know a lot of people will say, hey, that's just how things are in Connecticut and Massachusetts and the New England area. There's just more white people than any other type of race or ethnicity there. And I don't know, it just really got me thinking, is this a reason why the show Gilmore Girls perhaps didn't resonate as much in the Black or Latino neighborhoods as it did with white neighborhoods? But we can talk about that another time. So what did I think of this episode? Well, I give it a 5 out of 10. Kirk could have saved this episode, but it was ultimately brought down by Emily, Michelle, and Logan. I do, however, love that Lorelai stood up for what she truly believes in multiple times throughout this episode, both to Emily and Michelle. Additionally, she has some really funny moments mixed with dramatic moments, creating a good mix for her character. So there you have it, Vibers, my recap for Season 5, Episode 7 of Gilmore Girls. What did you all think of this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, as always, God bless and good vibes.